Hey everyone, hope you're having a fantastic day. In this video, I will be reviewing a masterclass.com course that I have finished. It is Tan France's Style for Everyone course. It teaches style and fashion for men and women. Before we get into this course, which I thought was fantastic, and what I learned, if it was worth it, the pros, the cons, I want to also cover the masterclass user interface. They've changed it up a bit to make it look a bit more like Netflix, and I thought it was pretty darn cool, so I had to show you what it looks like. So when you log in and when you are a member, um, it starts with a Discover section that just lists some of the newer courses that have launched. There's a new course that drops about at least once every 2 weeks, which I think is fantastic. It's almost like Netflix originals in a way. And then they very recently added a most popular today section, kind of like Netflix. They'll display the top 8 videos of the courses on Masterclass that get the most love, the most view time. And it's always surprising to see what's most interesting. You would expect maybe a course by Bob Iger, the previous CEO of Disney, or maybe Samuel Jackson. But it seems like people are gravitating to, at least today and yesterday, to the Middle Eastern cooking course and to some negotiation and selling courses, as well as a dog training course. And of course, all of these will kind of ebb and flow with time. I personally believe that Gary Kasparov's course is winning right now because Queen's Gambit just came out on Netflix and everyone's talking about it and getting into chess. In fact, I, as you see with the red line here, finished this video. I rewatched it. I finished it like half a year ago, and then yesterday I rewatched it because I got more into chess after watching Queen's Gambit. So I'm rewatching Gary Kasparov, one of the best chess player of all time, take his course. So it's very fascinating what ebbs and flows on here, and I love how they're kind of fleshing out some of the more interesting fields of life that I'm more fascinated in by adding a style and fashion course. Of course, I'm very familiar with Dan Pink and his book To Sell the Human. So that's a brand new course that they added in last month that I'm getting through as well. There's also a continue watching section here, which is really cool. And that's as far as I use. There's these shortcut sections which just give you recommendations. I assume they use some type of algorithm to figure out what type of stuff that I'm interested in, or maybe this is pre-built. It seems like they've built like themes on influence and risk off various different instructors. You have Hans Zimmer here, who's a music composer, and he's apparently talking about risk. And then, of course, you have all these other different people of different disciplines talking about risk and influence. So very interesting how they laid it out. One of the best things I've ever come across. So affordable. It's like the Netflix of personal development. Nothing really comes close to this. The quality, the high production. Anyhow, I could talk about that for a long time, but you're here to hear about what I thought of Tan France's course. First and foremost, it's a nice, concise course. It's only 12 videos at 2 hours and 19 minutes. And I know some of you are going to play it at 2 times speed or 1.5 times speed. And so it's going to be even shorter. Despite that, I think it is just right. If anything, maybe a little too short, but just right in length. It's 12 videos and each video is very full length. And here's the thing. Nothing should be too long or too short, in the pursuit of delivering knowledge. I don't think something has to be super long to be good. I mean, in fact, especially with courses, it's not like entertainment where you want a TV show to have 20 million episodes. With a course, you don't want fluff. You don't want them repeating stuff just to add length to it. because then people are going to drop off and not finish the course. So I think this was a good amount of time, and each of the 12 videos were pretty meaty. You know, if you look at these videos, the average is about maybe 10, 11 minutes, which is really not that bad. And I believe he did a fantastic job covering the breadth of style and fashion without missing anything crucial, and covering men and women, and those who don't identify as he or she. So it does a fantastic job, and I was amazed. I'm like, there's no way you can do this while covering both genders, and he does it beautifully. The intro, as always, goes through his background, his experience as a co-host to the TV show Queer Eye, and then you get into it. And in the rest of his videos, you know, you have this static set that he's usually behind, and I think it works wonderfully for this type of masterclass course. You know, it always differs depending on the instructor. I've taken many courses, and there's even a progress checker here, and I think I'm on 270 videos watched on here. So I've been on here a while, 263. And so different courses have different ways, and sometimes I'm like, I don't know if that works well. You know, you're teaching a course about writing, and there's really no cuts to your writing, but with this one, he has his whole wardrobe behind him, so he can explain it, and then he'll have models sometimes come on and show what the outfits looks like, or he'll just show you with the hangers with his hands, like, pair this with this, and it just works beautifully. Like, you don't really need that much else to really show how fashion works. So most of the time it is a talking head, but he's walking around demonstrating it with this very thorough wardrobe behind him. It's not just this one stack that you see right now, but behind that stack there's more, and they will interchange out clothing. So I think it works wonderfully, and sometimes it'll cut and jump to videos elsewhere, like as you'll see here, it moves to a white backdrop with the creating looks for your capsule, and then it moves on. So ultimately, how was he able to do this? How was he able to kind of cover all the main aspects of fashion? Well, for me, I've actually been pretty well versed in fashion for the last couple years, having consumed all sorts of videos from all sorts of YouTubers, and really getting into it. Well, essentially, I think he covers a very timeless, classic type of fashion approach, which I think is just very natural. It's something that it's a type that I think a lot of the well-versed fashion influencers recommend, and he explains it really beautifully, and that's the capsule wardrobe. And of course, I found that every YouTuber or fashion guru has their own kind of specific flair to it, and that's definitely the case with Tan here. He adds a little bit of extra flair and style to his tastes and his ideas, so you get his own specific personal approach. For example, he believes that you can mix any texture and any style, and there's no really strong rules against mixing certain colors with your skin tone. Now that's something that obviously on YouTube you're going to see differences in. I am more so of the school of thought that certain skin tones, generally I agree with Tan, but there's certain skin tones that are a little bit it's hard to work with certain colors with. Let's just put it at that. And so he stakes his claim on the ground, and then he explains why he believes that, and then how to work around that. And of course, as him being Indian, I found it relatable as a Asian myself to kind of hear his story about what he went through and how he started to experiment. And essentially, he's wearing it right now. He was told as a kid that you can't wear brown, and as an Indian, and Turns out, yes, you can. You just have to find the right colors and styles and shades of brown that work with you. So it's a specific distinction that really has broadened my eyes and ideas around what style and fashion is, and about breaking and bending the rules. Now, of course, if you're a beginner, of course, he still sets specific rules, as mentioned in the really first video to kick it off, rules of great style. So there are certain elements that you should follow. There is a certain set of rules, sets to a capsule wardrobe, certain things that you should follow. One of which is not to follow the trends that go in and out of style really quickly. And then after he sets those rules, he demonstrates them with his model. He has a female and male model to kind of demonstrate them, show you the color combination, show you the types of clothes that you should look for, the dresses, the button-ups, and the colors to build that. And then he starts to break into his personal journey, his own style flares and recommendations. And that's really where you start to get into some really cool stuff here. He emphasizes some fundamental stuff on the right fit. And yes, a good portion of his videos do mention some fundamentals that you can find on YouTube. However, I found that with YouTube and any type of just internet free content, you just get overwhelmed. You see, these YouTubers and other influencers, they have to pump out content every day or every week. And so you have to sift through hundreds of videos, and you don't know what's right, what's wrong, what's just fluff content to just pump out another video to meet your quota. Whereas with this masterclass, you know that these are the essential things you need to know, and within 12 videos you're done, and you don't have to worry about, well, is this just more fluff content, and is this more crap content? And I see this a lot on YouTube, having watched so many YouTube videos on fashion and started to implement that. You start to see a lot of repetitive stuff and people embellishing on ideas just to get more content out there. I've seen certain YouTubers start with a very foundation, like essentialist wardrobe, and this is what you should do. These are the fashion tips. And then after about a year, you can tell, okay, we've kind of exhausted everything we really want to say, but we want to keep growing our following. So then they start adding stuff like, okay, here are the top 20 things you should buy for the autumn months. And then you start buying excessive, frivolous stuff that you really don't need for essential capsule wardrobe. And it just goes downhill from there. So that's one thing that you get the benefit of if you buy a course like, if you purchase masterclass.com for a Netflix level fee. And if you do, I really hope you go through my affiliate link below. I also have a thorough article that reviews Masterclass. At no extra cost to you, I get a commission for my work if you purchase through my link. But anyhow, moving on, he moves on to personal style, incorporate color, prints, and textures. And this is really where he really shows his own beliefs and flair. And while he still stays around amongst the kind of classic, timeless ethos that I definitely belong to, he starts to add certain elements of his own personal opinions on style that I respect, but are definitely a little bit of his own flavor. He definitely plays and encourages texture and prints a lot more than maybe I would be comfortable with, or some other fashion influencers or gurus would say. However, he definitely has a lot of wisdom and knowledge around that, and definitely emphasizes all sorts of different prints and colors and textures, and how to try them, how to not try them, the rules behind that, such as, there's more prints and textures than just plaid. So, American men, get away from just plaid. And then, in terms of how to tone down certain textures or styles and prints so that they don't come across too loud, essentially by certain little tactics like just the collar versus the whole thing on its own, by layering it over a jacket. So he goes in a lot more detail on that in these videos, and I think it's really well done in that aspect. In terms of his personal journey, I found that the most interesting and useful in certain ways, because he really shows how his progression from most of his life not having much money, not having much to really go off sometimes, or choices, having him having grown up in a prep school of some sort where he only had three choices of dress shirt or tie, uh, and, and outerwear to choose from, because it was one of those, I believe it was like a Catholic or prep school where it had a mandatory dress code, and how he still learned to incorporate his own personal style and fashion off that and his limited budget. And so I found that very inspiring, because you wonder, well, I'm not rich. How am I supposed to be able to afford this stuff? How am I supposed to have great style? And he really emphasizes that yes, you can do it even with a small wardrobe. He gives little tips in his how to shops section also on how you can really start to experiment online and in shops, and just to see what's out there, even if you can't afford it. Go into a Gucci store, or a maybe not Gucci, but a high-end store, just to feel the texture, the styles, the outfits on the mannequins, and learn from them, even if you can't afford them. So you can find less affordable, or cheaper options that still get the same job done. I think his journey was most useful because he really goes into how he's progressed, and how you make mistakes. Developing your personal style may have been one of my favorite videos in this course, because he emphasizes how he tried certain things and it doesn't work for him, and it's through that trial and error that you figure out, okay, this is who I am, and this is the type of person I am, and what would that type of person wear, what would that type of person not wear. And you have to make those mistakes, try out those outfits and styles that you don't know would work, and you may regret or cringe at later in life, but that's how you kind of develop your style. So all in all, I think it was a nice, delectable, delicious, popcorn yet useful course. It's something that you could knock out within a week, maybe even a day if you're dedicated. I wouldn't encourage cramming it in within a day, but one or two videos a day, you could get this done within less than a week, maybe even 3 or 4 days. Uh, and it's so useful, and you can always come back to it if you forget something. I know I will. And it'll just get your mind thinking about style and fashion, and in the right ways. You can start to play with stuff. You can start to see, okay, this color, this fabric, this texture, these prints. Oh, I can work with that way. That's what Tan said. That's what he is available, and that's what is possible. To be honest, about 4 or 5 years ago, I was kind of scared about fashion. I knew I had bad fashion, but each time I would walk into a store, I was scared to buy anything because I didn't know what was good or bad. I knew that, in the past, I would go into a store and I'd look at this t-shirt or this plaid, and I'd buy it because it looked cool. But then when I put it all together, it just seemed kind of off. Like, why is that kind of off? I don't know, but it's something about it just looks whack. And so I was scared to ever spend money. I remember going to a store and I had money to spend and I wouldn't spend it, just because I knew it would somehow look whack. But now, after I got into fashion and I started to know certain rules about, okay, how important fit is, how being too loose with your clothing is horrible, or how certain colors are just more versatile than others, and the importance of a capsule wardrobe and what's essential, what you should wear, what you shouldn't. Those things really helped me, and then from there, I think Tan has brought this course not just from a beginner level, but he offers intermediate and a little bit of advanced stuff in here too, so that once you start to get going, you can start to play with fabrics and textures and prints to a point where you're starting to operate on a more advanced level with fashion, and people are going to see that and respect that. And he definitely sells this course in a good way. I think in one of the final modules, he talks about how it has impacted his career, his ability to get jobs, to get work. He emphasizes how fashion and style is not just about, looking good or trying to impress someone. It's about feeling as good and confident as possible, and how it's helped him be seen and respected in certain ways. How he was job interviewing for this job that he wasn't really that he was really reaching for, and how when he stepped into the room with his suit, which was really a very cheap suit, but what he could afford at the time, how everyone thought he was the interviewer just based on how he dressed. And so just think about that. Your fashion and style can do so much, and that's something that I see a lot of these big fashion gurus have, and a whole mentality about style that a lot of us just fail to grasp. I know, I used to, and I still do. I think of fashion like, oh my gosh, like, I don't feel comfortable, or I don't feel confident in it, or it just feels all right. But they have this whole other mindset, how with good fashion and style, you feel really good, confident, you feel your best, you feel happy, you feel like you're really showing the best part of you to the world as possible. So very useful course. Will it answer everything you need to know about fashion? No, it's not that comprehensive. But will it cover a lot of the big chunks of fashion that an average beginner is missing? Maybe even someone who's intermediate? Yes. And will it work for any gender or sexuality? Absolutely. Great course. Check it out. Check out my affiliate link in the description if you want to purchase. I would really appreciate it if you went through my link if you're going to purchase anyways, because I'll get a little extra commission at no cost to you, and I'm promoting a course that I really believe in and is really awesome. So check that out. Links in the description. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks so much for watching. Subscribe.